everyone, and welcome to the SoCal Summer Swing Out podcast. The music you are currently listening to is called Dances in the Night by Papa D, a fellow swing dancer, musician, artist, and friend. You can find all links for streaming, socials, and videos down below. Make sure to go and support him. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SoCal Summer Swing Out podcast. I'm your host, Andre, and today is a very good day. Today is a good day because the OGs who are supposed to be the number one on the podcast are here. Hello, Grace and Blake.
Number
Hello.
one, first place.
First place.
So the story behind this is we actually recorded a full podcast. It was supposed to be the first episode, but I totally messed up the audio. And so we weren't able to release it, but now we actually get to do it.
Very excited.
Additionally, I realized I messed it up. I was supposed to say Blake and Grace, right? Because that's your preference.
Grace and Blake. Did you?
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter that much.
It doesn't matter that much, but I prefer Blake and Grace because I think it sounds better than Grace and.
It does flow off the tongue a bit more. So I like that. So speaking of which, then there may be some people, I highly doubt it, but there may be some people who may not know who you both are. So if you both give me like a brief introduction of who you are and a tiny bit of your dance journey, that'd be great. Starting with Grace.
Starting with me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Grace, and I am from here, and here is Southern California. I was born and raised in LA, and I have been dancing since 2013, and I always loved vintage fashion and the old movies and jazz movies. I was raised like my dad also loves old movies. I was raised on like Charlie Chaplin movies and Singing in the Rain, and so I always loved that time period. I didn't really know there was a dance from it. And when I was in college, I took a ballroom dancing class. And I really liked it my freshman year, and it kind of, covered waltz and foxtrot and just basic steps. And then my senior year, I finally had time in my schedule to take another class. So I took American Ballroom Lindy Hop, but I didn't know that it was, and it wasn't a ballroom class. It was a Lindy Hop class, actually. And my teacher, Audrey Wilson, she's amazing, and she had been dancing. She learned from Frankie, and she danced with him, and really knew her stuff. And I just got hooked, and that was it.
Beautiful. And this was where? In Chapman, right?
I was at Chapman. Yeah, I went to Chapman, and I started dancing at Atomic. I started social dancing like every night of the week. I was hooked, and I started traveling and competing, and I just fell in love with it. And I still love it now. And yeah, I don't know. That's at least the beginning of my journey. And then eventually I found Balboa and collegiate shag and got hooked on doing all three dances all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll talk about the triple threat here in a bit. But speaking of triple threats, Mr. Blake, how about you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm a triple threat,
You're
huh?
a triple threat.
Well, the shag has been faltering a lot lately, and that certainly lags behind. But we're gonna fix that this year.
Yeah, our goal this year is to be shag focused.
Our only goal.
Our only goal.
Our only goal.
But yeah, I'm Blake. I was born in Denver, Colorado. Moved around a bit, and then ended up in Southern California at the University of California, Irvine, for college. And then, well, I mean, I'd suppose in high school, my high school was up in Northern California, and my European history teacher showed us Swing Kids, and I remember that planting a seed for me of being like this thing that maybe doesn't exist anymore, to my knowledge, at least in the moment, but seemed so much more fun for me than like modern clubbing. Honestly, I didn't really know music. I started playing the guitar, and that's when I discovered music. Like I didn't really listen to music before that. And then I didn't really dance until I started swing dancing. But in college, then I decided for a New Year's resolution in 2014 that I would try to find swing dancing, and Atomic Ballroom was the nearest option, and I started going there. And I also started going to the club at UCI, and from there I just got obsessed, and now it's my life.
We have pretty comparable beginnings of our dance journey.
Yeah, we both went to Hurring like 6 months into our dancing too.
Yeah.
Um,
I went in 2013 and I didn't know anything about, I didn't know there was a global scene. I didn't know, but my dance teacher was like, hey, you should go to you should go to Harangue. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, that's not gonna happen. But my family happened to be going, we took our first family vacation in, I don't know, like 15 years. And we went to Europe, we went to Italy and Greece. And I was like, well, I'm already here. I could go to Sweden, I guess. And so I did. And it was like life changing. Yeah. And like comparable experience, I think, the
yeah.
next year.
Yeah, I saw it on there was a flyer or there was a pamphlet for Inspiration Weekend in 2014. And I asked a friend, like, oh, what's Harangue? Because it just said Harangue, didn't say anything else, like the dates. And they were like, oh, it's the Mecca of swing. And I don't know if it still is necessarily, but at the point, yeah, I was like, wow, that sounds cool. And I had this more money than I've ever seen before because I had my first like in the summer. So I was like, oh, let me just, take this $1,000 flight and go for a week. And it was amazing. Like I had such post harangue blues afterwards because I just felt in the same way that we both saw like, oh, the swing dancing wasn't just this little like insular small community thing, but it was this global phenomenon. That was really
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Now, you both didn't meet at Harangue, did you?
no,
No, we met at probably social dancing around Southern California in maybe 2014, maybe 2015.
yeah.
I don't know.
My biggest memory was at Slow.
We knew each
That
other
we
then.
knew each other by then, but that's when I like danced a lot with you. I remember.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of that too.
Yeah, that was in 2015, I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In San Luis Obispo, Lindy Exchange. Both went there in 2015, and I do remember like having the most magical dances with like.
Aw. Okay.
Like,
Well, since we're on that topic, first of all, you two have such a beautiful partnership, like dancing as well as like partnership, right? And I was just curious, like, I know the story, but for the listeners, when did you both decide that you were going to partner together for like dancing? Because you do compete together, yeah?
Yeah, we were both working with other partners and but we loved dancing together. We got
Mm.
paired, actually, maybe the seed got planted when we got paired in a mix and match
mhm.
at Third Saturday Swing. There was a holiday mix and match, and I still look at that video fondly.
Aw.
And we won that. And I remember at some point being like, hey, is there like a contest where we had other partners, but we did the 30-second showcase
Yeah,
at Inspiration.
2017, the next like few months later, and then
Mhm.
we did it again the next year. Oh wait, did we do it the next year? Was it
We
20?
did. It
Okay.
was in 2017, we got second place, and
And we were like surprised because
yeah, we were
I was
like,
so nervous for some reason. I don't know.
Aw.
it seemed
So
like as
across the
nervous as
range,
that.
felt
He
like
was like,
throwing up. Yeah,
he's like shaking.
I
Yeah,
thought you didn't know I was nervous though until after.
I didn't. You hit it pretty well. I It was more like when we were dancing, I could feel
Yeah,
that you weren't like you were a little bit like,
sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No,
But but we ended up getting second, which was crazy. And then we did it again the next
yeah.
year and we won, which got us a pass
To
to
Camp
Camp
Jitterbug?
Jitterbug. I think this is how it worked. But basically,
No. It was 30-second showcase, Camp Jitterbug, and then we did another 30-second showcase.
okay,
Because I think,
so
yeah,
I believe we won a pass to Camp Jitterbug
Mm.
from that 30-second showcase, the first one. And then we went to Camp Jitterbug and we won a pass to Lindy Focus.
Oh, that's right.
So we just
Yeah,
kept
yeah.
like
Chaining
competing
it.
and winning, and we'll be like, okay, we'll go to that together and compete at that. So we had, Camp Hollywood. I was working with Juan, you were working with Hannah, or other, and you were doing other things in Balboa. But every time we would win something, we would go to that event and compete there. And I remember then in 2019, we both were we really wanted to go to ILHC and compete and throw down.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we sort of committed to, like, we're going to partner.
Yeah. And then post-pandemic, it took off teaching-wise, I suppose, for us. Yeah.
But 2019, I would say we kind of established our dance partnership a little bit more.
Yeah. And speaking of which, now this is a purely curious question for me, but how did you both go defining your dance partnership, dance values, and How did you go about like structuring your dance partnership?
Structuring it, like I think our values were always pretty aligned,
Mm,
and us both having our dance origin here in Southern California, we were both very inspired by the lineage of dancers that came here, or
mm,
that
mm,
came from here. So whether it was
mm,
Lindy Hop or Balboa, um,
So yeah, we had
yeah,
stylistic and value things in common. I would also say that in 2019, I got asked to teach at an event called Whistle Stop. I don't know if it's in Indiana. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right. You're pointing to yourself, home season.
yeah.
Um,
yeah.
and I asked Blake to teach it with me. And I also, after that, I realized like how well suited we were to teach together. We both
Mm-hmm.
had not just common values in the dance, but common values in teaching. We like after every class, I remember we would like talk about what went well, what we could have done better. And I remember thinking like, that's what I want to be as a teacher. I want to be constantly trying to improve and self-evaluating how we did, how we can improve. And so I remember thinking like that we were really, really well suited
Mhm.
to teach together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then it sounds like with time and as you both, since you both came from the same like dance background of dancing in SoCal, it really blossomed into the mega awesomeness that it is now, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're both being so like kind, but I'm gonna
I
brag for you
are we not?
because no, you are, but I want to brag for you because if no one has ever taken a lesson from Grace and Blake, you definitely should. Because one of the lessons I took from you two was the Balboa one, where you taught it was the in and out, except not out and in, except you're traveling.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
asymmetric continents. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I 2 years later, I still use that. I use that cowbell. I don't know if you guys saw,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but your lessons are so well thought out. And Grace, the way you're so you like pay attention to the students and the way you explain things, Blake, it just makes sense. So if anyone's listening to this and you haven't taken a class from Grace and Blake, I encourage it.
Oh,
Boom.
That's very,
thank you.
very nice. We
I mean,
work hard, I think, to hopefully give students like a really good experience in a class.
Mhm.
give us a bit of an overview of what that looks like, because I know you two work a lot and you practice a lot to prep for comps and like classes and stuff. So what does that look like for you two?
Uh, it's seasonal, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
Depends on what's coming up. So because the last big comp thing was cowbell, so I was prepping a lot with Grace and Alice. Uh, and Camp Hollywood's our main competition event these days. So like in the months coming up to that, we ramp up more and more practice, and that's like a, you know, and then 2 and then 3 day a week. I don't know if we do more than 3 days a week
Yeah.
at our peak.
I mean, we're also social
Yeah,
dancing and
that's true.
like in our local scene here. And so we definitely use social dance time with each other to practice. Like I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's like hard to actually just dance for dance's sake when we're prepping for a contest. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then as far as like how we prepare for teaching classes, I would say that we generally try to have like I mean, we have a lot of different class structures, but we generally try to have like a big picture idea and figure out how to, I don't know. I clearly need some water. I'll be right back.
Do you
Yeah.
want
Yeah,
Should I keep going?
Sorry.
no, that's okay. Yeah, keep going. As far as like, I'm sure that there are some leads who ask, but I don't know if you know, Blake, but a lot of the leads, they tend to like, when they see you dance, they tend to think, oh man, I wish I could dance like Blake. And
Oh,
I know the answer to this because you and I have talked, but
yeah.
I'm curious, like, what were the steps that you took to become as good as you have in that relatively short period of time, you know?
Get so good so fast.
Exactly.
Uh, I I think one thing is I have a very obsessive with one thing at a time disposition. So
Mm,
in some ways, I think guitar was that for me before, and now I'm like, oh man, I wish I would keep up with it, but I
Me
don't have
too.
it
mm.
out. Yeah.
Aw.
Uh,
I that's a on the other side of things, hearing Blake play the guitar was like the thing that did it for me
oh yeah.
as far as the life partnership part.
Yeah. So I
Aw.
I don't get the guitar anymore because I already
It was done. The Riz has been set.
I got the girl. Don't even play it.
But you said that you were pretty obsessed about that, and now it's moved to dancing.
Yeah, yeah, and I loved that dance had this partner dancing to me felt like I could break it into pieces that I could understand. Whereas
Mm,
before I thought it was just this abstract big thing, and you just need to move and groove in a way that I didn't make sense to me.
mm,
Now I understand what that means more and how I can kind of key into that. But for me it was like the Lego building blocks of like, oh, this basic, then a tuck turn, then a side pass, and this all uh like satisfied my my logical brain. um
mm,
and then I'd say, yeah, I was very methodical. I like had a spreadsheet. I tracked every single lesson I took with every single move that linked to every single recap video. And then I also had like, people I was Nick Williams initially early on was one of the biggest, inspirations for me. And I really liked
mhm,
the way he moved and embodied the musicality of the song. Um, uh, and then yeah, I'd say I was just hooked. Like I was famously known for having my senior year grades start to fall off because I was spending more time at Atomic than I was on campus.
I heard that from you, but
Really?
I had the same thing. My grades
Yeah.
started getting like I just didn't care about classes. All I wanted to do was dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mm, mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just kept going from there. Yeah. Just a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like full circle because I was curious to ask you. So this year you were in the Invitational,
Mhm.
and you did that. That wasn't your first time, was it? In the Invitational
That was
at
the first
Cowbell?
album. Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. And then when you placed, you were second to
Yeah.
Nick, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How describe the emotions of like you starting out seeing like, okay, Nick is the one I aspire to, and then here you are standing next to him, getting the
Yeah.
second place in the Invitational.
Yeah. Um, It's crazy. Be even crazier if I had beaten him though. I mean, we'll see. But no, it was definitely surreal because I, I, yeah, I had looked up to him for so long, and I'd say it was a lot of shock more
Mm,
because I had some friends come up to me being like, "Oh, that was great! Like it was definitely a contender for like top three to them." But to me, it was like a good dance, but I couldn't really tell. It's
hmm.
sometimes you just can't really tell how well it went. And watching it afterwards, I really was really happy with how it went. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I guess the shock was the main thing first because I
Kelly
Kelly
also
Arsenal was
was
also
like,
shocked.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
looked over, she was like, she was it's so funny.
Yeah.
But I wasn't surprised at all. You guys
Yeah, like
looked
that
amazing.
was, I guess, probably our, let me think. That that dance was our fifth dance we've had together. I
Wow.
danced with her once at Lindy Fest in 2019, and then once at Bow Week in 2022, and then we had a couple dances before the Invitational.
Hmm.
Um, and or yeah, and like it was good, but I just didn't I don't know. It was good. I don't
It
know,
was
much to
really
say, I
good.
guess. Yeah. I'm really happy with how it came out.
I was
Yeah.
so proud of
I mean, that video was like, it was so amazing to watch. And it was so amazing it's so amazing to watch you two dance in general. One of the big things that caught my eye when
Mhm.
I first saw Grace dance was just how happy and joyous and how big of a smile. Like right now, like that beautiful smile.
I
It's like,
I wish I could be cooler, you know? Like I really wish I can. I wish sometimes I'll watch myself, I'm like, oh, just be cool. But I can't help it. I just love, I don't know, I love dancing. It's funny to hear you be like, I was super methodical about like how you got good at dancing. And I would say
mm,
that I was not like that.
mm,
It's not that I mean, I practiced, but I think I was way more feeling
Mhm.
based. Like I just love sharing momentum and I would take classes and I would get inspired, but I wouldn't necessarily like track it all. I would just sort of synthesize with whatever I was already doing. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wasn't very methodical about it. I feel like that's the one, like, I mean, Blake talks about my superpower is like just my is what we're talking about. Even though
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I wish, like, I'll watch myself, I'm like, oh, can you just bring it down a little bit? But it is very me, I think, when you see me dancing. I can't help it. I actually don't. Sometimes I'll watch people dancing and I'm like, how do you not have the biggest smile on your face right now? Like, you're dancing with a person to the best
Mm-hmm.
music, and it's so hard to, I don't know. I That's my favorite thing about the dance.
Yeah. Now, I love the fact that Grace, you approached it from a feeling perspective, and Blake, you approached it from a methodical perspective. So, Grace, I'm curious, there might be some swing dancers that are listening right now who are also feelings based. So,
Mhm.
what would your advice be to them if they're wanting to work on their dancing from that feeling based perspective like you did?
I think I mean, whether you're doing it methodically or feelings based, it definitely helps to work with one person over a long period of time. I don't even mean like you need to find your person, but I just think that like focused dancing with one person where you can give each other feedback or work on ideas. Um, I don't know. I think that helped me improve a lot. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm and just I don't know. I the other thing I would say is videotaping yourself is like
Mm.
that's also what helped me improve. It's like it's a feelings based thing, and then if I can watch what I did, especially if I could watch what I did right after I did it, then I can sort
Mm-hmm.
of equate like, okay, when it feels like this, it looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think if you're trying to compete, I suppose, because it also there's two sides of dancing in my mind of swing dancing. There's like dancing, like social dancing, that is sharing a moment with your partner, and it's feeling the music and it's feeling the moment and it's not for anybody else. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's competition or performance dancing, and that is to look a certain way. Like you want it to feel good, but to me,
Mm-hmm.
you're showing something. And so you kind of have to tune into like what do my arms look like here? When you're social dancing, you can have a floppy arm and have the best dance ever. And if you're
Yeah.
competing, you might have a floppy arm that the judge is like, what is going on there? So
Yeah.
I guess to me, filming yourself so you can start to know what you look like when you feel a certain way. That's probably my biggest piece of advice on improving if you're not.
Yeah. I definitely hear what you're saying about the feeling versus like looking because sometimes I'll feel like I did something huge, but it's just super tiny that no one can see, you
Yeah.
know? And that was actually something that Blake told me in one of my privates. Is he was like, "Oh, you can make your dancing more dynamic," you know? Because I was looking like a stiff piece of wood. That was his way. That I feel like that was your way, Blake, of like saying, "Don't be a stiff piece of wood. You can move."
No, no, no. I don't think that. I think
Okay.
yeah, no, I just like, one of the most beautiful things I think to see is just like, yeah, dynamics. It because that can be such a loaded term. It's hard to know
Mm,
exactly what that means. But
mm,
like to shrink and to grow in like certain uh capacities, like they just make moments happen much
mhm,
more. And it doesn't even require like the fanciest moves. You just change your basics.
Yeah, this is like a big thing that we are constantly striving for in our own dancing and also in teaching, is just how to make your basics really beautiful and dynamic, rather than doing, I mean, not that we don't like a fancy move or two, but I think there's a big I don't what's the word? Like swing of the pendulum towards a lot of fanciness and not enjoying the basics. And it's nice. I don't know if I think there's obviously really great dancers who enjoy the basics, but that's one of our
mhm.
values.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, you have brought up the value with me of beautiful basics quite a bit, and that's like a cornerstone, I would say, of both your dancing. Um, I was curious, like, at what point in your dancing partnership did you both realize, oh, we really want to hone in on beautiful basics, and what that looked like?
one of the places I specifically heard about, and then we listened to it together. But Sylvia Sykes has an interview on the track, and she talks about this in person too. But on the track, she just was such a great way she put it, and she used the term "beautiful basics" and talking
Mm,
about a lot of aerials she'll see. And sure, this is an oversimplification perhaps, but like they're just a recombination of things she's seen in the past and aren't
mhm.
what moves her. But to see Frankie Manning just do a swing out over and over, or Don Hampton just move her pinky a little bit, like just slight movements, those are like the magical things to her. And
Mhm,
that just really resonated, I think, with what it just seems so powerful to build that. And another related term I'd say is she talked about the word patina, as in the like layer of
Where
where that furniture or things build up that's considered beautiful
mm,
only comes with time, and how that's something that is just by a product of time and passion you put in, like that only comes with time. And that's also just a really beautiful thing, and how we try to put that in our dancing, and that we just dance a lot together rather than
mm,
like work out. We do work out things. We try to
yeah, we
come up
totally
with
do.
new ideas, but also at the same time, that's really important things that like you can tell that we look like we belong together when we dance together.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that that like we're both really inspired by vintage clips. So we
mm,
watch a lot of them, and I think if you watch a lot of vintage dancers, not just from Southern California, also in New York, they I think that there was a sense they weren't necessarily trying to do everything under the sun.
mhm,
Everyone was like they were developing like especially when you look at the Southern California dancers though, they had like their set of moves and
mhm,
they did them incredibly well and they did them so individually and but it's not like they knew 150 different moves. It's like they did their thing so well.
mhm,
So I think that being inspired by the original dancers too, like there's a sense of making it your own and
mhm.
making that your basic have that patina that like is so individual.
mhm.
So I really
Mm. I don't think you all have ever brought up the word patina before, so that I learned something new there. That's beautiful. Sylvia Sykes, the track. Okay, I'm gonna have to link that down below,
Yeah.
which is a perfect segue into my next question, which is you're talking about vintage clips and you're talking about like getting inspiration from that. I'm curious, what are the vintage clips that you would point people to in order to get inspiration from?
So vintage clips, I to pick out a few is tricky. One that comes to mind that I like a lot is Twice Blessed.
Hmm.
That's a Southern California one, and there's Hal Tackier in it, and Betty, and uh,
Lenny Smith.
Lenny Smith, and just a lot of OG Southern California dancers.
Hmm.
It's just like they're all just going really hard, and the music's great and stuff. But I don't know.
I don't know, it's
It's
really hard to choose.
yeah.
There's I mean for Balboa and some Shag, like the Venice Beach clip is like, I watch that all the time. You got a bunch
Hmm.
of kids dancing on the beach, just showing off. It's the best.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I think, I mean, there's so many
There's
good
a lot
ones.
of random, cute, esoteric ones that are like original Big Apple kind of things,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
like youthful, college-looking kids. Probably they're probably college kids. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so. We can
Um,
send you a couple links of the ones we've mentioned. And then
yeah.
I was also gonna say Blake has made compilations of
Well, officially only one,
okay,
but
officially only one. You're working on
a
other
Dean and
ones.
Joel one.
But if you want to, like, he made a compilation of every single clip that Dean Collins and Joel McGowan are in, every moment they are on screen. And let me tell you, the process of finding every single moment they were on screen was meticulously and methodically
Yeah.
done in Blake,
Hmm.
Not by faith, not by faith.
not feeling based. It was watching over the pandemic, actually. It was we would watch old movies and he'd be like, "Do you think that's them?" I'm like, "That's just a fuzzy blob in the background." But you can see it's like every moment pretty much that they are
Yeah.
on screen, and so that's also a good place
Oh,
to
although
go.
there's technically one
I know.
missing,
I
and I was
so
upset actually when you found it, because I meant like the software I used to edit it was terrible. Like it's called Shotcut. It's great for small projects and it's free, but like it can't really scale to big projects because I had so many like random issues that I had to go back and redo keyframes and stuff because the project got so big.
Which can I just say, I mean, I didn't mention this, but I went to film school. Like I do some video editing. I've done video editing. Like I have done it within the swing dance community too. Cowbell just hired me to cut promos for them and a video for them. But as an editor, watching Blake do this and have the program constantly crash made me just like shake with rage. And then, so he finished the video, he published it, and then a few months later, maybe, I was watching vintage clips as I do. I was just falling down the rabbit hole, and I am watching a clip, and I'm like, that's Joel, and it's like this scene on a train, and they're like the band is playing on a train. I don't remember who the band is. And then there's dancers who start to join them, and Jewel McGowan is in this clip, and he definitely doesn't have this in his compilation. And I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my god, I got one!" And I submitted it to him, and I didn't hear from him, and I was like, "Can you have a reaction?" Like, I found another clip, and he was actually upset.
No, I mean, I was busy at the time. It wasn't just me. Yeah, but like to put that back in, like I would have to redo so many things and like it would probably cost on me a bunch more. So I just ended up putting it in the description. There's one missing here and I linked to it. Oh, and it's actually not there because
they took away that channel.
There was a big channel full of high quality vintage clips that was taken off copyright issues.
Sad.
Yeah. Vintage Swing Dance was the channel.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll link that too, so you can see a bunch of the Dean and Jewel clips that we watch a lot. And I mean, I'm assuming everyone has seen it, but One Girl and Two Boys is also like an incredible clip, and we got to do that at Camp Hollywood, recreate it at Camp Hollywood. It was like a huge honor and like a highlight of my dance career so far.
I was gonna say, because that was the exact thing I was gonna talk about next, is because Two Girls, One Boy, Undecided, having Hillary sing that while you two, as well as Jeremy, did that dance. That must have been like a big moment for you guys.
Yeah, it was very emotional, and there was I felt a lot of pressure to do it very well. We practiced a lot. There was a lot of like filming ourselves and then putting them side by side with the original clip and trying to get every line, every moment. And then to have the band do it with us, it was just like I was so honored. And I mean, I've told Hillary already, but if she's watching this, like it was really just, I felt there couldn't have been a higher honor for me to be asked to do that. I feel really, really grateful. So
yeah, I mean, I remember seeing you guys doing like a very slight run through at Atomic randomly. And I remember being like, oh, I know this. And it was beautiful to watch in person too, guys. It was just chef's kiss.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Grace. Sorry,
I have nothing else to say. That's it.
Speaking of choreography, I did have something I wanted to ask. It's in regards to Hoist the Colors, right? Still one of my favorite choreographies to date that you guys put together. And I'm just curious, like, what was the inspiration at the moment, the inspiration for that?
Yeah, there was a moment that apparently involved both of us, but that's not my original memory. I understand.
He erased me from his memory, walking right behind him.
I thought I had
the ballroom having the exact same experience.
So I just remember hearing Jonathan Stout and his orchestra on New Year's night in 2019 play Cinema from Georgia, this amazing arrangement.
At Lindy Focus.
The band was just like booming, like it just sounded, it was filling the room in such a, like some of those clips from Swing Kids that we've talked about where he's walking in the ballroom and you're like, wow, this energy. And it's what I imagine Frankie feels when he enters the Savoy and turns the corner and talks about that. And just the chills and like, wow, this is it. Like, this is crazy. And Grace was having this too.
Walking right behind you, you looking at me like, and I'm like, no, like,
oh, okay. All right.
Like, I was there.
I was just so overcome with emotion as a non-emotional person. Yeah, and that planted the seed for the song, and I think for the idea, I think it's just something. I think I had the initial piece of just I because I think a lot about different pieces and like rearranging things, and that's how like a lot of creativity that at least I come up with comes from. And I think
Mhm.
just naturally as you dance Lindy Hop Balboa Shag, like uh you kind of compare them, especially like learning Shag, you're like, how is this different? How do I compartmentalize this differently than Lindy Hop and Balboa so I don't look like, Balboa or Lindy Hop dancer doing Shag. And there was
Mhm.
a lot of time put into that. And eventually that became a routine. Actually, that became a little experimentation thing we did, because I had brought it up with Grace, like this would be a cool idea. And she was super on board and into it. Then we had a little performance we did during the pandemic of Jeremy Cook and Kelly Young. And we had prepped like a test version of that.
Yeah, basically it was for his mom runs a nonprofit and we were performing at like their gala. And so they were oh, actually you danced with Kelly and I danced with Jeremy and
Mhm.
he and I danced Shag and Kelly and Blake danced Balboa to kind of give a sense of the two dances. And yeah, we sort of did a little test of like, you guys are going to do this set of moves and we're going to do this set of moves that are sort of complementary but different
But I mean, they were meant to be the same thing in different
in
dances,
different
in a
dances.
sense.
Yeah.
So like back pivots and then like heels up,
Around,
counterclockwise rotation for
or
Shag, and then
swivels
Texas
versus
Tommy moments, yeah, swivels versus collegiate kicks. And we were like, what's the most equivalent thing you can find? And that
Mhm.
grew
yeah.
into well, let's do it for Lindy Hop Balboa Shag. And
Yeah. And then
uh,
it was, I mean, I've been on quite a few teams in my career as a swing dancer, and that was like the best way I've ever, I mean, I've had great experiences on teams, but like it was like the six people just came together and it was
and we all got like way closer as friends
as
too.
friends
Just
too. Yeah.
really, yeah, yeah.
And I just think like working together, it's hard to be, you have six different personalities, but everyone was so on board with the vision and it was a really complicated routine. Like if you watch it,
Mhm.
it's weird. It's not choreography that necessarily makes sense every moment because we're trying to get three different dance styles to sync up. And it's yeah, but
Yeah.
we were so happy.
As a group of friends, it felt like we were a TV show cast. Like, if you think of a good like character-driven TV show with like a variety of casts, like each person had their role in the team as
Yeah.
like a personality. There's like the quiet one, the jokey one, the like the leader, the there. It just felt like there was that kind of dynamic, and it was just really fun being together. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's man, that I think that's such a beautiful dynamic to have like as a team. And I feel like we as a team are really lucky to have like such wonderful people, you both included. I don't know if you both saw Paul's status. So right now it's January 30th, but he posted a status about community and pouring into the community. And he named you guys as two people who really poured into the community for a long time.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's funny because we're gonna be traveling a lot this year teaching, which we can
Hmm.
talk about a little later, but we just love our home scene so much and
Yeah.
our
I think one of the things that people said that were some people will travel to dance and like they get in the habit of only dancing when they travel because
Mm.
dancing is so good when they travel. And in
Hmm.
some ways, it's the other way around where like our home scene is just filled with like great dancers and also our friends. So when we come back home in that way, like dancing at home is like the most fulfilling piece. And then when we go travel,
we get to share
yeah,
that.
we get to
And I
share.
mean, we get to participate in a lot of different kinds of scenes too, but we also get to share our values from what we develop here with all of our friends and there's just a spirit in Southern California. I think in both LA and Orange County of just like this community that's like working that cares a lot about its history. It cares a lot about getting good at dancing, like and
Hmm.
honoring where it came from and pushing it forward. And you get kind of every kind of dancer, people who just want to social dance, people who really want to compete, people who are performing, people who are teaching, and it all comes together in this like really beautiful way. I'm very biased. I live here. try to add to that. But I just love being here, and I'm gonna miss it this year. But speaking of our scene and our community, is this a good time to talk about how you've
Should we do that thing?
Yeah.
Are you ready, Andre?
I don't know what this is, but yes, I'm ready.
All right. So do you remember, was it a year or even it wasn't 2 years ago.
Might have been 2 years ago now.
It's a long
We've been traveling
now.
a long time.
That's true. So it lost steam towards the end, but now we'll debut it. But there was this whole thing of do you remember when I said I have a surprise for you like a long time ago, or like something to that effect? I don't remember what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean there really was something. And so I got, so you know the song Till Tom Special?
Yes.
Yeah, and also Perdido at one point, but that one, like the clips didn't come out as good for that. But I started messing with that song and editing it and extending certain bits of it. And you were my prime pranking target for this. And so what I would do is my plan was to edit it a little bit and then edit it a little bit more, extending like da 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 da, like just keep going back. Yeah. And I was gonna make it weirder and weirder until you notice it in like the office telephone, like kind of that's a whole esoteric reference. But yeah, like so I would always set up a camera at some point early on and film you when I put on the song. And then I also told a whole group of people, like
so we were all
many people in a Facebook group.
Just to put a little bit of just broaden this for a second. If you didn't know this about Blake, he's also very pranky.
Yeah.
I feel like you wouldn't know that about you based on what we've talked about so far, but he's a trickster. And I feel like, yeah, Blake wanted to prank you, Andre, and edited this song and filmed you dancing to it. And also it was one of those things where if you are not a musical dancer or like in the music, you wouldn't know. A lot of people just dance to the song and they don't realize that it's changed because they're not that in tune with the phrasing. But Andre, you definitely are.
Yeah.
And so we have a couple of like the little clips from it that we wanted to show.
Yeah. And we had told everyone, don't react when you hear the weird part of the song because we want Andre to think he's crazy. Did you get that, dog?
Like everyone you dance, sometimes it'd be me, sometimes like we have a clip with
we'd assign someone to go dance.
Like, okay, we're gonna play it. Like, go dance with Andre. Just like keep cool,
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So
this is already partway through the song. We're just showing you a couple of them.
Is it Andre? Yes.
This is where it happens.
Early on, you would sort of like roll through it, and I would dance. There's a clip when we couldn't find it in time, but there's a clip of you and me dancing, and you kind of say something like, "Oh, I thought it was going to be something else."
No.
Like, you took responsibility, like it was your fault that you heard the song wrong. I was like, "Oh, Andre."
Hey, it's post-edit Andre. So Blake and Grace actually sent me the clip that we were just talking about just now. So this is it.
But then there's another one. This is probably the best one. Let me just make sure there's nothing weird up here because I think they'll see that. Okay. This one's a good one. Share. All right. You clearly stopped because you thought that the song was gonna stop. But in fairness, Andre, you're really good at rolling with the punches. So when the music didn't do it, you were like, okay, we keep dancing.
You two are sneaky. You two are sneaky. Wait, did Izzy know and did Patrick know?
Yeah. Like they were dancing with you and they were told not to be like if you were to be like what? Like to be like, no, that was normal.
That's freaking hell. Okay. All right, that was good. That was good. Well done.
I'm gonna put together like a longer compilation of all those things. I just I had the spur of the moment thought in the middle of this where I was like, oh wait, this would be great to share here. So
yeah.
So
we'll put together a little montage of all the times that you were like dancing or like, huh?
Yeah.
The same thing happened when you both played that one song that I love the song, but I love to hate the song. The one that's on 5 and yeah, it's wonderful.
Tommy Dorsey, yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if anyone's listening, I'll put that song down in the comments. I dare you to dance to it and try to hit those breaks.
Yeah.
I don't think I still think I can't. I still think I can.
Actually, I played it. Well, I played it, and Natalia Aristovi, if you know who she is, she's an amazing dancer, and she's so rhythmic, and she has such a good sense of music. She's like, I hate this song, and I'm pretty sure that it's this song.
Yes, and especially sometimes when Blake, you'll mess with us and you'll pause it for longer than it actually goes.
Once everyone's getting the hang of it, I'll do a quick little, yeah.
That's funny.
Throw everyone off again.
Oh man, but I love it when you two DJ so much. Now I'm like I'm gonna be ultra whenever you guys DJ. I'm gonna be ultra sensitive to hearing okay, what are they trying to do now? Especially when Blake comes or when Grace says, "Get ready to come on a journey with me."
Yeah, Blake is a little. I think he'll just prank the floor. I at least want people to be aware, something's gonna happen. I'm gonna play a really long song. I'm a little more empathetic to the plight of the dancers.
Aw. I mean, that to me speaks to both you, this type of stuff, right? I feel like that adds so much heart to our scene. And we're so grateful for that. Damn. I feel so honored that you would target me in such a way. Aw.
There's also I was gonna say, I mean, there are other edits. There was gonna be a point in which Benny White and I were at one point gonna try to make the brotherhood sisterhood of the traveling song or edit kind of thing. Because I had made this initial edit. I made this whole group and I was like, you can listen to this little snippet here so you know what it sounds like so it doesn't shock you. And then he was like, hey, I forget if it was him or I, probably him, that brought up oh, can I mess with it? I'll mess with it some. And he messed with Perdido even more, and it had even more. He called it Perdido, and then I or Perdidos or something. We started just messing with the title. Yeah. And then the idea would have been we pass it around and just tweak a different part of the song over and over until it's this complete crazy version. But that was something fun, but it never really took off. But it was cool.
Dude, I was I thought for a second you were gonna pull up the video of me breaking the chair during one of our practices.
That was also one of the
yeah.
best moments ever. Just to briefly tell the story, we were so another way we practice or try to build community here in Southern California is Blake runs some we call them strictly practices, where we do like mock competitions, or we play games, or we'll do mix and matches, especially leading up to different contests, so you can
It's been a
especially
while since we've
yeah
done one, huh?
yeah I mean it's
Yeah.
hard with all the travel and stuff like that, but Andre was there, and I think it was before Camp Hollywood. And so we were doing a really, really fast Lindy the spotlight, and we ended with this crazy quick stop that was super fast, and Andre was like, yeah, like,
Jumped up from his chair
and then,
like,
and you could hear it in the video. He's like, it's like, and he broke the chair that he then fell back on.
and everybody was like, oh yeah.
So
And the camera like went sideways a little bit.
it was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Is that is that shareable? Is that
Would you
think-
share
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I'd be fine sharing. That was a huge moment because that quick stop was nice. Mainly because, like, for real, it was so nice. Mainly because like your feet were touching, and that was the part that got me. It was like
we're
you
going
both
so
touched
fast?
feet.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like that moment we ended up doing a quick stop in our last Open Lindy, one of our last Open Lindy spotlights, and I feel like it was slightly inspired by us hitting one and Audrey freaking out so much.
I mean, I'll take that because Amy and I still call it the Alice and Blake, like the little.
Oh, the
The Alice rocket.
Yeah. So I mean, that's such good memories, dude, and so
Yeah.
many more to come. I mean, one of the things I did want to mention was we were talking about traveling. We're talking about like our home scene, right? And I think I've talked to both of you about how when we're traveling, when you two are traveling, when I'm traveling, it's like we miss home, and we're like looking forward to come home. And I'll never forget this. I was traveling for something, and I came back, and Grace was on the mic doing her announcement. I hadn't really talked to anyone then, and I was like, I came back and I was just leaning against the pillar, and Grace saw me, and she said on the mic, "Oh, Audrey, you're back. Welcome home." And that was a huge moment for me because I was like, yeah, that's right. This is home. And she's done that. You've done that several times. And every time you do, it just fills me up with warmth knowing that this is our home, which is why now, anytime I see someone that's traveled, when they come back, I'm like, hey, welcome home. I think I've told you both that after you went on your travel to Europe that one time.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to come back and it's hard. Our scene is so big. I worry, like I've been trying to be a little more general on the mic too, where it's like, hey, if you're here from out of town, or if you're, we're just so happy to have you here and we want you to feel welcome, because our scene is also really big, and I can retain so many faces and names, and I, but I'm so grateful for everybody who especially on Tuesdays. I mean, I'm sure people are listening and they're like, what are you talking about? But the social dance here on Tuesdays at Atomic, I generally host it and DJ and bring in guest DJs like Blake, and or we also run Fast Beat Fridays, which we co-host and co-DJ. And I don't know, it's like those places feel so special, and I don't know, I want people to feel like they have a home scene, and so
150%. I mean, and we appreciate the heck out of you guys. That being said, let's go ahead and hop into the last couple questions. So jumping into the final questions here, the 3 questions I ask all of my guests. The first one, and this is a big one for you two, is where are you traveling in 2024?
Well,
Can we list it all?
It's a lot of places.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. How about we just list our next?
Yeah, this upcoming tour.
Yeah.
Starts
We'll
Brescia,
Brescia,
Italy, which is near Milan.
It's one of our favorite places. We love you, Guido. And then we go to Rock That Swing, and in Munich. Then we go to Ball Inspiration in Zurich. And then we go to Bal Dam in Amsterdam. And then we go to Innsbruck, Austria for Alpine Jitterbugs Shag and Bal. That'll be our first time there. We're excited. and then
Berlin Balboa weekend.
Berlin Balboa weekend, and then I come home for a few weeks, and you go to
Beijing to teach with Alice for
yeah. And we're traveling a whole bunch this year. If you want, you can see I posted like a calendar of where we're going on my Instagram. So yeah, that's probably the best way. Or Blake will probably post
I'm
it.
gonna post something on my Facebook cover page probably back cover with just like everything this year. Probably.
Wow, you're gonna post, huh?
I
Figured it's
No, that's dope. Now, speaking of which, if people wanted to get a hold of you or if people want to hire you for some of their events in the future, where can they find information about you both?
find information.
I mean,
to reach out, Facebook, a messenger, or email, blake.w.thiessen@gmail.com.
yeah, and we can give you that. And Instagram or Facebook for me, and probably, well, we're both on Instagram. You're on it less, but yeah, that's where we tend to post updates and stuff. And Facebook Messenger is probably the easiest way.
Perfect. Awesome. And now for my favorite question at the very end. What is a message that either of you would like to leave for any swing dancers, or both of you would like to leave for any swing dancers that are listening today?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I think enjoy the basics, I'd say, and like don't forget to zoom out and remember like that whether you might be really, neck deep in like working on things or trying to execute certain things right, whatever it is, just remember you're holding another person and dancing with them and enjoy that. And I think that's really enriching just to remember that and to enjoy that.
Yeah, I think I would say it's good to remember that it's a privilege to be able to take part in this dance. Like it has a really rich history. I think it always enhances my experience of the dance to know where it came from, to learn about its history in New York among African American dancers, its history among Southern California, like how your own regional scene. I think that like knowing where it came from is a really it helps me be really grateful to be able to take part in it now. So I think my main thing is just trying to stay grateful and remember like what a privilege and an honor it is to be able to participate in something so beautiful.
I love that you both said that. That is that's nice. That's very nice. Sorry. I just love that you both said basics and it's a privilege to do this dance. Like I feel like that's a lot of sentiments that a lot of people can really feel towards,
Yeah.
That being said, I think that's a great place to end the podcast. As they said, everyone, all the links will be down below, including the vintage clips that they had mentioned. Thank you all so much for listening towards the end. Grace and Blake and Grace, thank you both so much for staying till the end.
Thanks for having us, Andre.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I should let everyone know that these two are wonderful human beings, and I hope that you all get a wonderful chance to take lessons from them, take privates from them, all that jazz, because they're literally amazing. That being said, thank you all so much for listening. Bro.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's sweet of you. And to everyone listening, follow them, do all the things. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to come to SoCal Summer Swing Out. That is June 13th to 16th. And it's going to be here in SoCal. You can experience the magic that Grace and Blake were talking about here. That being said, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you all next time. Grace and Blake, don't go away. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. The music you are currently hearing is called Dances of the Night by Papa D. You can find all his links down below. Till next time.
Don't lose hope, trying to stand tall, trying to give this dance of yours the best that you got, cause every time that they hear this sound, that music gets their feet above the ground. Time just seemed to stop in every move. Seems all your life what is based on tonight, and all you gotta do is do it right. You gotta move, you gotta move, you gotta move. got to be a dancer.